What's up, guys? This is Geno J,
This is KP.
the real estate gurus, and today, man, we've been talking a lot about driving for dollars. I know in the last segment that we did, KP really hit on the driving for dollars. So we're actually just going to drive and show you what we look for and kind of what we would call on, so you can get a good visual of what driving for dollar is. So let's get into it and let's go. All right, this first house, as you can see, it needs a roof. It looks like it hasn't been really upkept, and you can tell it's just in need of a rehab. Also see on the side left and the front, they have window units. So they probably don't even have a central air and heating system in the house. Just my guess, because you see the window units. So this would be something I would definitely call on to see if the owner is willing to sell, because the house does need work.
So right now we're riding down, what is it, Glenwood?
Yeah, this is Glenwood Avenue, Decatur.
Over in Decatur, Belvedere Park area, about to cross Columbia. And we're out here driving for dollars. We're just gonna give you guys a few pointers on what we use when we out looking at vacant properties or potential flips that someone may live in and may be ready to get rid of. They're not all vacant when you're driving for dollars. So
one of the things, anything that just looks bad or old, I like to call on regardless. I think one of the main indicators is overgrown grass. Because even though we just showed you the one with the roof, you'll have people that live in the house with roof problems and all other problems, and they'll cut their grass. But when that grass not cut and it's starting to get overgrown, and it's a good sign that it's vacant, those are indicators that it's vacant. Those are really good properties to try to research the owner and try to call the owner home. So that high grass is a very, very good indicator. This zip code that we're in is 300-32 in Decatur. So we're going to be driving around showing you like what renovated houses look like and just some different areas. So when you're trying to find an area, a location where you're at, you definitely want to look at areas like we mentioned before that have renovations going on. So if you're looking in Redfin or Zillow, look for houses that are renovated. You may have an area of your neighborhood or your town where you got houses built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, but people are renovating them. So you want to look for older houses where people are doing renovations, and drive those streets and look for houses that need work or overgrown and those sorts of things. And so the street we're about to turn on, you'll see it's a great street, and everything in the area is changed over time. Good old metal lane. I was one of the first people to renovate an addition on metal.
yeah, I remember.
Now it's all additions. Well, this is the property here. I
remember I looked at that house last year.
Yep.
Wholesaler had it. Now it's not for sale.
Yep. So that's a great property. But as you can see on this street, like they did an addition here on this house here.
They popped the top on that one.
Yep. This whole street, this one here is an addition. And they renovated the house. And sometimes people ask me, man, why did you do an addition? Well, I do an addition to try to add more value and get more for the property. That's one of the reasons I do an addition. So like when you have a ranch home, let's say that's selling for $200, $225 and it's 1,200 square feet, but the area, you have buyers that are willing to pay, $350, and you have a lot of activity. Sometimes it's worth trying to do the addition to get more for the property and create more value, because when you do that addition, you're changing the whole makeup and the look of the house. Like a lot of these houses were just ranch homes. They're doing the same thing that we do. They're just ranch homes. They changed the whole makeup of the house. As you can see, it still has the old foundation on it. They popped the top, reframed it. They're making it really, really, really nice. This is one I think they did the addition off the back.
Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah. And I remember this one sold for like three something, like $325. It's crazy, man, how all these prices have went up. But I'm really looking for also that vacant house where it's overgrown, because if nobody's living in it, then obviously somebody owns it and could potentially want to sell it. That's the middle lane.
It's the house that started it all.
Yep. First person on the street to do an addition 2 years ago. You still got it looking nice. Yeah. This one we went off the bat. They must have got stuck, man, because they've been working on that for 2 years. But you can see it's a lot of great activity on the street. So this house here to the right is a perfect house to call on, just because it's vacant. Maybe somebody owns it and already getting ready to renovate it. But you can see the grass is overgrown, it's vacant. This would be a perfect house to call on to try to reach the owner to see if they're interested in selling it, just because nobody lives in it. Like I said, you'll have people that live in houses that are, dilapidated or whatever, but they may not be willing to sell. But that vacant house where nobody lives in it, then that just gives you more opportunity, I think, to try to pick up something. And then another tip too is, talk to the neighbors. Like talking to neighbors about a house. Neighbors know a lot. They know everything. And sometimes the neighbors might even be related to the person that has the house, or might even be the owner. But they're gonna know how you can reach that person just by talking to the neighbors. I know now with COVID, it might be a little different, knocking on doors or whatever. But if you see people out, like these guys are out in the neighborhood right here, you just stop and say, hey, I got a question. There's a house around the corner. We was looking at wanting to see if y'all knew who owned it or whatever, and just see what's what.
A couple years ago, we actually sold this same house. We did a wholesale deal.
Sometimes people buy houses and they'll get stuck or end up not renovating. There's been situations where I sold stuff to people and a year later they still own the property, and then we end up buying it or do another wholesale deal on it because the values went up. Great neighborhood, as you can see. Lots of activity. Like this house was renovated in the past. Very clean street. There's a neighbor there. Be a great person to talk to if he had a vacant house next to him, because they're gonna know. And then the neighbors too, they have a benefit of, they don't want, people that live and have pride of ownership. They don't want vacant houses, because like in these areas, vacant houses, can be used for, trap houses, or, you get people that come in and squat in them, or whatever the case might be. So it actually benefits people to, how you doing? It actually benefits them to see the properties turn over. And we add so much value to these properties in these neighborhoods that it benefits them from a safety standpoint, but it also benefits them from a value standpoint. Like we go in and we do something nice, we're increasing the value in the neighborhood, and we're improving the neighborhood. We're building homes for people that want to come in and live in the neighborhood, and so we're adding a lot and we're giving back, to a lot of these neighborhoods with the stuff that we do in these neighborhoods. You know, like when I'm driving these neighborhoods and I just see like these nice brick homes and people have like pride of ownership. Like these are just great properties. Like that's the older house right there. Like that's the older house right there, but it's just very well kept. A lot of good pride of ownership. And especially like when you driving these areas on the weekend and like the weather's nice, you're gonna see people outside all the time. And then you have these neighbors where you can, you know, say, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
You know, people gonna respond, you know? Because let's say if this house is vacant, overgrown, I would just say, hey ma'am, do you know who owned this house? We buy houses and we saw that it was overgrown. We want to see if you knew who the seller was so that we can contact them and possibly purchase it so that we can, you know, make it look nice. Well, yeah, you know, such and such, and they may have a contact number. But just talking to people, being out, like if you don't got no money and you're starting from the bottom, get out there and start driving for dollars and trying to look for vacant properties, start knocking on some doors, talking to some neighbors or whatever, and researching who that owner is through the public tax records and doing that skip trace to try to start putting some deals together. Because if you're able to, you know, even if you find the property and you don't know what to do with it, try to find like some other investors or a good realtor that maybe can help you with the value of that property so that you know what to offer. But try to get these people lined up before so you can do everything simultaneously. Start driving for dollars now, but at the same time, start connecting with some realtors. I would call up some realtors that's in the area, and you may have to call a bunch of realtors until you find somebody that's gonna fit the kind of model that you have. Because realtors get busy, so you may have to go through several phone calls, but you can say, hey, Mr. Realtor, my name is such and such. You know, I'm new to the business and I'm doing a lot of door knocking. And so I'm finding sellers to respond to me and say, hey, I'm interested in selling and I'm trying to find more private deals, but I don't necessarily know how to run the comps and put values on the property. You know, if I'm able to, you know, help with some of these, if I'm able to put together deals, can you help me put them together? And see what they say, because you can structure it where you get a deal in the contract and the realtor helps you with the numbers and you can pay that realtor a commission on the HUD because they're licensed, they can get a commission. So if you get a property in the contract for $100 grand, but you can wholesale it for $120 and that realtor help you with the values, you know, when the contract's in your name, you have the legal interest to be able to sell that contract. You could pay the realtor a fee on the HUD so you can create win-win situations. So you can get really creative when you're doing these deals and you're getting them under contract. So start driving for dollars, but also trying to find either a realtor or other investors that could potentially buy the deals, so that you have, so when you get a seller and you don't really know what you need to do with it, that you can lean on that other person's expertise to help you put the deal together. Or it could be another, or you can find other wholesalers who have a lot of buyers and you can approach them and say, hey, I'm doing a lot of door knocking. I don't necessarily know what to do when I get the deal. How do I put it together? Other wholesalers can help you put the deal together. Because for them, they're not spending the energy and effort into marketing and create the deal, but they can still help you move the deal and JV on it. So that's another good way you can, you know, sell some of these deals. The key is start doing it and start trying to get direct with the sellers. And then once you get direct with the sellers, you know, you can go through the process of trying to figure out how to sell it and how to partner with people to how to sell it. I'm gonna run over to, we're gonna go to Mason Avenue in Edgewood, because I saw a house over there and I did the Google Streets and I was just blown away because because I haven't really been in that pocket in so long. I was just blown away on everything that's happening over there. Like, we got out of Kirkwood, 3 years ago just because I didn't want to be in that price point.
Right.
I felt it was more beneficial to kind of, stay in the price point I was using hard money. You don't want to, be buying lots for 300. You got 300 to build. You paying, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month mortgage payment on one house, when you can spread that money out into smaller deals that can make faster profits and more profits. On a new build like that, you might make 50 or 60, but you can take that same money and make, 30 and buy 3 houses. So that's my thought process, but I wouldn't mind picking up something over there. That'd be a fun project to be able to, do something like that now, especially now with more experience and having a better eye for finishes and all that stuff. This is like Kirkwood. I'm about to head over to Edgewood. It was like one of these little pockets where Kirkwood's been hot, but then you have Edgewood, which is another smaller pocket, which bordered Kirkwood, but it wasn't as hot as Kirkwood was at the time, just because you still had like a lot of houses over there that needed to be renovated, and it was still like a certain element over there where trap houses, crime, but now like all that stuff has kind of been eliminated over the last several years, and Edgewood just blew up because it's crazy, because back then you could buy a lot for, let's say, 200 in Kirkwood, but Edgewood, it was like, people weren't gonna pay more than like 80. Same thing with the houses. Like if the house was 300, even though it's 2 streets away, you wasn't gonna get that value just because it wasn't Kirkwood.